Another thing is, whenever the concentration of this glucose 6 phosphate becomes very high inside the cell, then this particular molecule can inhibit the activity of hexokinase enzyme. Fine. So if glucose 6 phosphate inhibits the activity of hexokinase, then definitely hexokinase will not be able to convert glucose to glucose 6 phosphate. Fine. Okay. On the other side, inside a liver, to convert glucose to glucose 6 phosphate, instead of hexokinase, there is another enzyme which is known as glucokinase. So this glucokinase will be found only inside the liver cells, the hepatocytes, and inside the liver cells, glucose will be converted to glucose 6 phosphate with the help of glucokinase and not hexokinase, whereas in rest of the other cells you will find hexokinase. So this was the first reaction. Now coming to the second reaction. Once you get glucose 6 phosphate, this glucose 6 phosphate is converted to fructose 6 phosphate. Okay. Now what is the meaning of this 6 phosphate? 6 phosphate. Does that mean that there are 6 different phosphate molecules? No. It doesn't mean that. Glucose 6 phosphate means at the 6th position, if you see the glucose structure, at the 6th position you will find the phosphate group. Okay. So the second reaction is this glucose 6 phosphate gets converted to fructose 6 phosphate with the help of enzyme phosphoglucoisomerase. This is an isomerization reaction. Fine. Okay. Now, once you get fructose 6 phosphate, one more thing to be noted over here is phosphoglucoisomerase. Okay. This particular enzyme is a reversible enzyme. That means you can get glucose 6 phosphate from fructose 6 phosphate, and you can even get fructose 6 phosphate from glucose 6 phosphate. So this particular reaction is a reversible reaction. The third reaction. Once you get fructose 6 phosphate, it is converted to fructose 1,6 biphosphate with the help of enzyme phosphofructokinase 1. Phosphofructokinase 1 takes the help of ATP molecule along with Mg+2 as a cofactor. Fine. And phosphofructokinase 1 enzyme, okay, the reaction carried out by this enzyme is an irreversible reaction. Okay. So we have seen that hexokinase carries out irreversible reaction. Similarly, phosphofructokinase carries out irreversible reaction. That means once you get fructose 1,6 biphosphate, you won't be able to convert this fructose 1,6 biphosphate back to fructose 6 phosphate. Fine. Okay. Now, fructose phosphofructokinase 1, okay, this particular enzyme can be inhibited by citrate, okay, as well as it can be inhibited by ATP. If the concentration of ATP becomes very high, then this particular ATP can inhibit the activity of phosphofructokinase 1, and this is the rate limiting step. Meaning this particular reaction which is there is a very slow reaction. It takes a lot of time. So there are activators. Okay. So the activators are fructose 2,6 biphosphate, fructose 6 phosphate, and AMP. So what these activators will do? These activators will push phosphofructokinase 1 enzyme so as to carry out this conversion in a faster manner. Okay. Coming to the next reaction. But before that, let me make one thing clear to you. What is the difference between biphosphate and diphosphate? Okay. Fructose 1,6 biphosphate meaning there are phosphate groups at two different positions, at first position as well as at the sixth position. Okay. And when we say fructose diphosphate. That means both these phosphate groups are present at only one position. Okay, whereas in this case biphosphate meaning phosphate groups are present, two phosphate groups are present, no doubt, but these two phosphate groups are found at two different positions. Whereas in case of diphosphate, there are two phosphate groups, but these two phosphate groups are found at only one position. Clear? Okay. Now the next reaction, fructose 1,6-biphosphate gets converted to glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate with the help of reversible enzyme, that is aldolase, along with zinc plus 2 as a divalent cation. This acts as a cofactor. Next, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate gets converted to dihydroxyacetone phosphate. I have written over here in the short form with the help of enzyme triose phosphate isomerase. Once you get dihydroxyacetone phosphate, it gets converted to 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Okay, this glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, 2 molecules get converted to 2 molecules of 1,3 bisphosphoglycerate with the help of enzyme glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. Clear? Now this is a reversible enzyme, and this particular enzyme can be inhibited by iodoacetate or arsenate. Here you will find that 2 molecules of NAD along with 2 molecules of inorganic phosphate, okay, these are converted to 2 molecules of NADH plus 2 molecules of hydrogen. Okay, you get 2 protons over here. So these particular molecules NADH will be utilized in the electron transport chain later, and this is the only oxidation step which is taking place in the glycolysis, and these are the 2 inhibitors which inhibit the action of these enzymes. Later 2 molecules of 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate will be converted to 2 molecules of 3-phosphoglycerate with the help of enzyme phosphoglycerate kinase, and this is the only kinase which can carry out a reversible reaction. Whereas the first step, okay, the first step which we saw is the hexokinase. This is also a kinase, right? And this is also a kinase, but these 2 enzymes are, although being kinases, they carry out irreversible reaction, whereas this particular enzyme phosphoglycerate kinase, it is also a kinase, but it carries out reversible reaction. So this is an exception. Fine. This particular enzyme takes help of 2 ADP molecules and it gives out 2 ATP molecules. So here at this particular step, ATP molecules are getting synthesized, and this particular reaction is a substrate level phosphorylation. That means what? High energy phosphate from carbon 1 is transferred to ADP to give the ATP. Clear? Now the next step is 2 molecules of 3-phosphoglycerate gets converted to 2 molecules of 2-phosphoglycerate with the help of enzyme phosphoglycerate mutase. This is also an reversible enzyme. Later 2 molecules of 2-phosphoglycerate gets converted to 2 molecules of phosphoenol pyruvate with the help of enzyme enolase, and fluoride acts as an inhibitor of enolase. If you have fluoride, then this fluoride will inhibit the role of enolase. So if enolase is inhibited, you won't get 2 molecules of phosphoenol pyruvate because this particular reaction will not occur if this enzyme is inhibited. Once you get 2 molecules of phosphoenol pyruvate, it gets converted to 2 molecules of pyruvate. This is again substrate level phosphorylation. Here again 2 molecules of ATP will be synthesized. So in general, if you go to see, okay, 2 molecules of ATP are getting synthesized over here at the last step as well as over here. So there are 4 molecules of ATP which are getting generated. during the glycolysis reaction. But we have also seen few reactions in the glycolysis process wherein the ATP are utilized, right? And which is that step? It is this step, the first step, the very first step. Here one molecule of ATP is getting utilized, as well as here again to convert fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 1,6 biphosphate, one more molecule of ATP is getting utilized. So there are 4 molecules of ATP which are getting generated, but 2 molecules of ATP are getting utilized. So net number of ATP molecules which are getting produced in the glycolysis process is 2 and not the 4. Fine. So if you want to conclude the entire glycolysis reaction, then you can conclude it in this manner. Okay, so glucose gets converted to 2 molecules of pyruvate. Glucose is required, and what do we get? The gain is 2 molecules of pyruvate. Similarly, in the glycolysis process, at one particular reaction you will find 2 molecules of NAD being utilized, right? And what do you get? 2 molecules of NADH. Similarly, 2 molecules of ADP are utilized, they are required, and because of these 2 molecules of ADP we get 2 molecules of ATP, right? Similarly, 2 molecules of inorganic phosphate are utilized in the reaction, and what we get is 2 molecules of water. So this was all about the glycolysis reaction. I hope all of you have understood this particular glycolysis process. After this, we are going to see the fate of pyruvate. What happens to that pyruvate? Okay, so let's see what happens. What is the fate of pyruvate once it has undergone the glycolysis reaction in the later part. Till then, bye bye. Thank you so much.